I am in the very early stages of a diagnosis of early onset Alzheimer's. I'm 48 years old. Um, it feels really weird and vulnerable to put myself out there right now like this, but since I've been exploring this with my neurologist, I realize there's not a lot of resources out there for young people facing this terrible disease. I've been able to connect with a few people, but it's really, it's been quite an isolating process, an isolating disease. I worked in healthcare for 20 some odd years, and so I used to take care of patients with Alzheimer's. And yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the process so far. I never would have thought that that's what's happening to me. I consider myself to be at least emotionally intelligent. I don't know about book smart, but I'm definitely emotionally intelligent. But yeah, I was at work 2 years ago, and I had started like getting weird tremors about 2 weeks prior to this happening. And I was at work and I was having a bit of a hand tremor, and all of a sudden I looked at my computer and I did not know how to do my job. And that was strange. I'd been in my job for a few years. So, I gave it a few minutes and kept trying and still couldn't figure it out. I went to my training notes and couldn't even figure out how to do the job with the training notes. I ended up taking a year off work and did a whole bunch of testing. It was never once discussed that I might have early onset Alzheimer's. I failed multiple cognitive tests just through like psychiatrists. I did like a private neurological assessment, failed that. I had some MRIs, came back with some like frontal lobe atrophy. Nothing like drastic, but it was noted at least. And then some weird things were happening. I almost caught my house on fire. I forgot that I left the stove on with eggs boiling, and was looking for my keys for about a half an hour when I found them actually in the ignition with the car actually running. So some weird things were happening, and I just totally thought I was stressed. I had been a single parent of 2 kids forever, and my youngest kid was getting kind of, to that place where she's more independent. So I thought, oh, maybe it's just my time to lose my shit a little bit. So I kind of just chalked it up to stress and hormones and perimenopausal blah, 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 all the excuses that you can gaslight yourself with, until I had a neurology appointment that apparently I had been waiting for 2 years. Forgot about it. But when the neurology clinic called for me to go in, I almost didn't go because at that point I had accommodated all of my needs. Like I now work from home full time. So like any sort of distractions, like I just thought maybe it was my ADHD, but I was not feeling as bad as I was the 2 years prior when I was working in office and my kid was younger. So I almost didn't go to the appointment, and I went into the appointment, had a 2-hour cognitive assessment, and told the nurse, this is a waste of time. I'm doing better. Like I'm doing really well. And I did the 2-hour test, and I just sat there thinking, what a waste of time. Like I wasted this neurologist's time. Came out, I failed the test. Had no idea I failed the test. And so then I left after speaking to the neurologist, and he had a pamphlet of early onset Alzheimer's, and I just couldn't believe it. So I had a SPECT scan and a spinal tap, the checking for there's biomarkers in your cerebral spinal fluid that can indicate Alzheimer's. And so I had to wait quite a long time for those tests to come and go. And about, yeah, it was about 6 months ago. It was 2 weeks before Christmas that I sat down with my neurologist, with my partner, and I was told that one of my biomarkers has come back indicating the very early stages of early onset Alzheimer's. And I just didn't believe it at all. I think I was just in denial. I still am in denial for sure, because I think everything's fine. Anyways, so I can't get a full diagnosis until, because there's 3 proteins in your cerebral spinal fluid. Those all have to be affected. Right now, only the one is, but when one is, the other 2 follow suit, which is why he's suggesting we're catching it early. And so, yeah, that was kind of a long story, but I've looked so many places on TikTok and other like forums for support, and other people are going through it, and it's really hard actually. And I know my partner and I are feeling very alone and not sure what to do. But yeah, I would love to connect with other people who either have a loved one that's going through this or who are going through it themselves and maybe gaslighting themselves as well. Again, I still think I'm fine. My neurologist thinks differently, but yeah, I was told to tell my children and plan for, I don't want to say end of life, because that's not what he said, but like to put plans in place, basically, is what he said. So I'm not there yet, but yeah. Anyways, if anyone else can understand or can relate and wants to share their story, I would love to chat.